So,
Gotcha.
can you introduce yourself?
Yeah. My name's Quandee, aka Quandeethehippy. Um, I was actually born in Elgin. Um,
Okay.
so yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I was born in Elgin. I moved here when I was about like 5 or 6.
Okay. And what do you do?
Like work wise or like
Music.
music wise. All right. So I rap, but I'm in the middle of currently experimenting with other sounds, things like that. I want to more. I kind of want to experiment in alternative.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at the same time, I like to do like a lot of like lyrical things, but at the same time, I also like to sing. So I
Okay.
can't wait to incorporate that in my music.
Okay. I definitely want to bring it back, man. You said you were born in Elgin. How was that growing up for you?
Honestly, I don't remember a lot of it. I remember more from like my like after I turned 20-ish because I would go there
Okay.
pretty often after that for a while anyway, and then I stopped going.
Okay. And do you remember moving to Rockford? And
Um,
why? If you know why.
I do remember. Just don't want to talk about that part yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay. Okay. I want to bring it back to music, man. How did music come into your life? Hearing it.
So hearing it wise as a kid, music always stuck with me. I used to remember lyrics very easily. I knew music was gonna end up being a part of my life at some point when I was able to guess like cadences in music from songs that I'd never even heard before. But like like when you're humming it and you feel like you already know like how the flow is gonna go, things like that.
Okay.
It was like that. I remember doing that as early as like kindergarten. Thing even before then.
And did you know what you were doing, or were you just like,
No, I honestly started off as just guessing, and then the more music I heard, it just became like quick. It came as the title of my first song, for example, "Too Quick,"
oh.
and yeah.
um, what did your family play, or what did you play, or would you listen to?
My mom actually played a mixture of everything. She would listen to everything from classic rock to R&B. She was heavy into R&B. She would
Okay.
listen to some rap here and there. Rap actually wasn't really present until like for to me, for example. It was always around me. It was always played around me.
Uh-huh.
Didn't really like it until about high school. Not gonna lie.
Mm.
Um, I liked older music. Older rap was great. But like I don't know what it was growing up. It was growing up in the early 2000s, for example, because I was born in '96.
Okay.
So growing up in the early 2000s, that's when music was taking that like house music, like techno-ish type of transition at the time.
Yeah.
So I got really heavy into that. I got really heavy into rock, things like that. Once I got to about like sixth grade, I want to say, I started getting more into rap, but I didn't even get heavy into it until about freshman year of high school.
Okay.
I listened to a lot of Aerosmith growing up, and it's funny because I can't name a single song.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure I could if I really thought about it, but that was what my mom was heavy into. She was heavy into like Mary J. Blige,
Mm.
Keisha Cole, Mariah Carey, things like that, which is where like a lot of my taste comes from. Music wise, I listen to a lot of rap, but I'm definitely an old head. One of my favorite songs being "Me and Mrs. Jones" by Billy Paul. That's one that will never leave my head.
Getting into music, like, how was it recording? Your first time recording? Did you know what to do, or?
No, my first time recording, I definitely felt nervous, which is funny because in my very first song, like I sound so confident. It was because like I caught myself on a day where like I just had the energy for it. I was searching through beats. I found one and it just stuck in my head all day. So my energy for that one was high. After that, I remember my second studio session ever, like actually in a studio,
Mm.
and I kind of just like it took me forever to get warmed up at the mic because I'm like, all right, I'm in front of people. This is still new to me. I was nervous, but that's when I made my song "Baby Let's Go," and that song carried me all of 2021.
Okay. Now, did you ever get help from anyone to like work on the music, or was all solo?
No, 100%. I also like with me, I don't know what it is. As much as I like to do my own thing and not care about other people's opinion, sometimes with music specifically, like if I'm in the studio and I'm stuck on a bar or something, I literally like I'll look around the room and I don't know why I kind of like look for that validation in whatever I just said because I got to stop doing that. I just got to do what I feel is right. But at the same time, it's so like when you look around, it's always like people say a lot without saying anything, and that's what I look for in the studio.
Oh, okay. And now, did you know this right away, or did it take time to be like, okay,
No, it took time because like I'll go back and I'll read some of my old lyrics for songs that I never put out, and I'm like, glad I didn't drop that. Wordplay trash. Why did I use the word "the" this many times? Or like if I'm using the word "like" in a song, because I use it a lot when I talk, and that's a habit that I try to break. But I used to do that a lot in music, just like the word But I learned off bat, don't say that in a song. It doesn't matter how, like for me, for example, it just doesn't fit my flow.
Okay.
So I can't be one of those artists that throw the word in there, and I get upset at that because there's a lot of people that can do that or can make random noises in their songs and it just sounds fire. Yeah. Me, I try to do it, it sounds forced.
Okay. Yeah, and are you somewhat of a vocabulary man?
Yes and no.
Okay.
My first few songs, like the lyrics were basically really simple. It was just catchy stuff. It's the wordplay that I really like. Now I'm getting more into I'm gonna start using words in my music that I say like in regular conversation. I use a lot of big words, things like that. Except like when I try to put it in music, I don't do it like in an Eminem type of way because I don't want to be compared to him at any point or like, oh, that was your influence and blah blah blah. And it's like, no, not really. I was a fan as a kid, but like as I got older, I just like pushed away from his music because it was, I don't know, I didn't like it when I got older. It was, I don't know.
Along the way of making your music, how would you pick your collabs?
Honestly, the way I pick my collabs is if I like your music, I'm on it. Okay. If not, like there's also artists that where like I really like their music, but in my head I'm like, I just don't think our styles would be good together, and it sucks because those are the artists I really want to work with, but like I try to find a way to like come up with my own stuff. You know what I'm saying, to fit their criteria. But yeah, so far everyone that I've done features with so far, I fuck with it. Definitely looking to work with a lot of like other local artists specifically.
Okay. You think it's easy to collaborate in Rockford, or do you try to collaborate all around?
I try to collaborate all around. I like collaborating in Rockford because now, especially right now, the music scene is so supportive of each other. Like I fuck with that. But it's I don't know, once you get to a certain point stream wise and like your music's starting to get played in other places, you also have people from other states reaching out to you. That's exciting too. And like as much as I wanted to do those, I feel like by default I gotta work with the people in the city first because there's people here that have been doing it way longer than me. Yeah. And there's a ton of artists on my list here specifically that I've always wanted to work with, whether it was like back when I was just making beats or now that I'm rapping.
You make beats?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
I stopped making them about 2 years ago, but I always get right back into it.
What made you want to get into beats?
Honestly, I started around 13, around my freshman year of high school, and this was when dubstep was like popping. Yeah. And so I honestly, and that's a crazy fact about me, I started off by making dubstep.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, I started making dubstep. And somehow transitioned from that to once I got more into hip hop and rap, things like that. It was the beats. It was always the beats. At first, I never really cared about the lyrics, which was a bad part. It was always the beats. And then once I got into lyrical rap, oh, it was over with. I was focused on everything, and I think that's why it makes it hard for me to listen to a lot of artists now. For example, like G Herbo. That's just one I can name off the top of my head, and it's not even any hate on him, because now that I've listened to more of his music, I like it. It's just the being offbeat thing that would get to me before. I know his lyrics are there. I know his wordplay is there. Everything's there. It's just since it's things that I personally can't really relate to, I think that's also what threw me off from his music at first.
Like when you make your music, bro, like do you always go to a studio or do you have your own equipment?
No, so I have my own equipment. Now I just think it's easier for me to go to a studio. I think that's also why I stopped making beats for a while too. Because like when you make a beat from scratch, you already have a song idea in your head. But when you make a beat from scratch and you hear it over and over and over and over again, by the time you're done, there's no motivation to make a song on that, and then the beat just sits there.
Okay, yeah. When you were making it on your own, the music, did you know what to get?
What do you mean?
Like the equipment?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I definitely did a lot of research. I've been, for example, like Piff's one of my really good homies. I remember back in the day just watching, like sitting in his room watching him make beats, like on his computer, things like that. So like I would take notes from that. I would do my own research. I would watch YouTube videos and I would just look at reviews online. My brother and I, for the very first like studio equipment we ever got, we literally ordered an Amazon starter pack.
Oh,
It was an Amazon starter pack, but it worked.
Yeah,
It got us through. We recorded Too Quick on that. I recorded Wrecked on that too, which I sat on for an entire year before I finally sent the open to Piff, who came clutch right away with the verse.
Okay. Yeah, because, dude, a lot of people think it's just grabbing a mic and a computer and that's it, man. It's a few
It's
things.
so much.
Yeah.
It's re-recording yourself, making sure you sound the same throughout the whole thing, unless you know like your flow switching or your voice is switching. But like you can't like punching in and out. Punching in and out was like one of the biggest tips that definitely helped me. But it's also the one that made me realize like whatever voice I'm rapping in, I have to keep that the whole time until it switches.
Yeah. Do you ever work on your vocals?
I do. When I was using the studio equipment at my house, I would. That was when I felt most comfortable in the studio because I could be in there and I could do things that I wouldn't do in front of other people, singing wise, you know, vocally things like that. But now I'm getting more comfortable to the fact of like I think I can start actually singing and stuff like that in the studio because I want to see what other people are able to do with my vocals that I couldn't figure out.
Okay, yeah.
I also learned really early on that I'm just not a fan of auto-tune. But the more I got into it, I'm like, okay, the right amount of it, cool. But once it gets noticeable, I can't do it. I don't like it. I don't want to be one of those people to where like, let's say I'm performing and you know how like when you're performing, if your presets aren't already on that mic, you're going to sound regular, just like everyone else. I don't want to get up there and sound completely different from a song.
Oh, okay. I want your thoughts on like your music. Like, do you feel like you need to live what you write or whatever you feel?
I'm going to be honest with you. I think that's actually the part that does set me apart with music. I don't put things in my song that A, I wouldn't do, or B, haven't already done, or C, experience. Like, for example, you won't hear me rap about like guns and things like that. I'll make references here and there, but you'll never hear me rap about like how I'm going to do anything like that, like violent wise, like with a gun, because like I don't use them. You know what I'm saying? But no, it's not my thing.
Yeah.
You'll like money wise, like you'll hear one thing you'll also notice in a lot of my music is I'll take shots at myself. And I do that so other artists can, like, there's nothing an artist can say about me that I haven't already said about myself. That type of feedback I'm always good with because, like, that's your perspective over mine.
Yeah. So yeah, I do want to bring it back, bro. You did mention Piff.
Mm-hmm.
Was he one of the people that you learned from the beginning, or was
Yes.
it like after a while you've been in your music on your own?
Yeah, no. Piff was definitely someone who I feel like he was definitely a big influence on it from the start. Him as well as all the other homies at that time, whether they're still homies or not.
Okay.
I would just sit in the studio with them all the time, just watching them go. I would watch them freestyle on mics, things like that. Watch Piff make beats from scratch, all that, and I just learned along the way. Everybody would always try to get me to rap, and I'm like, no, I'm just here to like I like the beats. And eventually after hearing them suggested so many times, I finally tried it. I'm like, okay, this is probably something I could do. It started as a hobby. It's still pretty much a hobby. I don't really plan on making like a career out of it or anything like that. If it happens, it happens. But I definitely have a backup plan just in case.
Oh. Now, when you're about to make a song or you're want to get into the mood of making a song, what is your process?
I have specific artists that I'll listen to. And it's just artists that give me the type of energy that I want to go into the studio with. One thing about me, like at shows, for example, before I do a show, about 10 minutes before I go on stage, I get real quiet. I get nervous. And it's not even so much nervous about like being up there in front of everyone. It's I don't want to go up there and fuck up.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like one of the biggest things that I like to tell people is like you always have to leave room for trial and error because if you don't mess up, and if everything's perfect by the first time something bad happens, you're not going to know how to process that. But that goes for anybody, not like anybody specific. If you're watching the podcast, but yeah, just that's my biggest advice because that's what messed me up.
Okay. And talking about shows, like when was the first time you performed?
The first time I performed was actually New Year's Eve this year.
J&K?
Yeah.
Okay.
J&K. I went there. There was an open mic. I was already pre-set up to do a show there. I think it was like the 14th of January. It was sometime in January, and I had seen Vinny's post about like the whole open mic thing at J&K, definitely pulled up. At first, I kind of just pulled up for the vibes, but then I was like, you know what? I might as well get the first performance out of the way. There's people here. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Did it. Glad that I did it. I've done 6 shows since then.
Okay. Now, do you feel like it's getting easier within each show, or do you still are you still finding stuff out?
No, 100%. I'm still finding stuff out, but I'm more comfortable about it. I just performed in Beloit last Saturday, and that one I was definitely like you could tell in all the videos that were taken there that I was a little nervous, but that was because it was a completely different crowd. That crowd was also extremely judgmental, which I wasn't really worried about, but it was a bunch of artists who were there to see other artists. But it sucks because it wasn't Rockford artists that were doing it. It was the artists from there, or at least artists that I've never seen before. And like standing back in the crowd and hearing them talk shit about other people's performances and things like that. And it's like, you can't do that just because their music's not the same as yours.
Yeah.
Just because you don't like it doesn't mean somebody else in this room or anywhere for that matter wouldn't also like it.
Yeah, no, I definitely been there where people people in the crowd, bro, they might not like somebody, so they'll be judgmental. But me, man, I always got to give them love because, man, they're up there.
Absolutely,
doing
like
something I never-
they're up there doing it. I remember a time when I wasn't up there doing it, wanting to be one of the people up there doing it, and that's also why I take like out of spite. Like I don't like artists who like who don't either recognize that their music isn't as good as they think it is, or B, someone who's overly judgmental of somebody else's shit who is also doing the same thing that they're doing. The same thing that you're complaining about them doing. If you're also doing it, it's kind of like.
Do you feel like you need to perform live like that, like on stage?
Honestly, I don't think anybody necessarily has to do it, but I would recommend it for anyone who makes music because, like, if you ever doubt your music, get on stage in front of a crowd of people who don't know your music. There's someone in that crowd that's gonna like it. It's somebody that you don't know. It'll be a complete stranger, and guess what? That's a new fan for you. You could be in a room full of 100 people, 99 people that you don't know, or like there could be 100 people in a room that you don't know. 99 of them could hate your song, but you got one new fan. You're gonna stop because the other 99 told you to, or are you gonna keep going? Because if you liked it and that one other person liked it, imagine how many other people would like it. And it's not even always that ratio. That's just like a slim ratio. Like for example, performing in Beloit, standing in the crowd while the other people were up there performing. Mind you, I left work to do this. I went to work, worked 2.5 hours, left to do this show, did the show, went right back to work. But like I'm standing in the crowd and I'm watching and I'm listening to the crowd, and like they're talking shit about the artist, things like that. So that made me nervous for when I would go up there, and I get up there, but like the feedback that I would hear, like I heard bad feedback like in the crowd, whether like they wanted me to hear it or not, like it didn't really matter to me, but I heard more good feedback than bad. And that's the type of things that I try. That's what I mean when I tell people, like, just get up there and do it. Fuck what everybody in the room thinks. You do it because this is for you. This is for your exposure.
Yeah.
That's all you need. These people in this room, they're not always going to be at every show.
Yeah, that's true. Now, dude, I gotta ask you, man. Like, is it hard to be in the mood to perform if you just got out of work and you go back?
No, actually, that's what kept me fired up the entire shift.
Oh, okay.
That's what kept me fired up the entire shift. Normally, I try to take a day off to do it, but since I was already so close to the venue, there was no point in taking the whole night off of work. I'm already out there. I might as well go. There's nothing I'm going to do after the show. I'm in Beloit. I'm not about to drive. I'm not about to drink and get fucked up and then have to drive all the way back to Rockford. I'm like, no, I'm just going to go right back to work. I'm going to finish my shift and go home and sleep after.
Oh, okay. And I want to ask you this again. Do you drink before performances?
Or yeah, I was gonna say that's actually my little ritual. I will take a shot or like have a couple drinks before I go on stage, but I will not smoke before a performance. And if I do, it's got to be a couple hours beforehand. That way, I'm not like high when I go up there because I don't like it when I'm high. I want to like if I was high like performing, I would want to be on some like Mac Miller shit. I'm gonna pull up a chair or a stool to the mic, and I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna chill.
Yeah.
But my music's a lot of the stuff that I perform, it's a little too hype for me to just chill with. So like I'm like, no, I'm gonna take a shot or go up there sober or whatever I gotta do. And yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about the ups and downs you have gone through while making music?
Writer's block. It's the biggest thing. I hate writer's block. There's times where like like one day in my head I'll have like a fire verse. I'm ready to write it down. The very next day I'll go to do it and it's like zero motivation.
Yeah.
Zero motivation or complete writer's block. Like Wrecked, for example. I changed the verse on that so many times, but like all of them in my opinion were great. It was just that motivation of actually putting it out, and like it was me versus me with that, which is why I sat on it for a whole year. Um, but after you get over writer's block, or one of the biggest tips that I could give when it comes to writer's block is if you have it, listen to your favorite artist. Listen to whoever gives you motivation. It doesn't matter if it takes days or weeks. Listen to them. You're gonna get that motivation back.
Beats. Now you said who produced it, man?
Indigo Chai.
Okay. And how did this one come about first? Let's talk about that.
So this one came about. It was one that I was thinking about for a while. Not gonna lie, actually, it started as a freestyle at work. I forgot my headphones at work one day, so I'm driving around on my little OP because I work at Amazon. Just outed myself. You damn right, I be listening to music. Y'all got me on that bitch for 10 hours a night. I'm gonna listen to music. But I had forgot my headphones at home one day, and I'm sitting there and I'm just driving around, and it was the melody of it. It was the like I'm sitting on the I'm standing on the OP driving around, and in my head I'm like and I just started adding words to it, and I'm like that. It makes so much sense because since I started doing music, I remember when I first started doing music, all the horrible feedback I got, and it was great. I loved it. I liked it, and I altered my music, things like that. One piece of advice that I get about my music that will never change is you rap too fast. You got to slow down so people can understand it. No, if you really like the music, you're going to understand the lyrics. Not to mention, I'm one of those artists where like I can rap fast and you're going to hear me enunciate every single word. So I put pending because for example, like the hook of the song, which is all good till you're not a benefit no more. They all disappear till you pop out on tour. It's because they're pending your success. The way that they fuck with you is determining on your success. So if your shit is pending, that's when they're iffy. Once you make it, it switches. I love you, so I know you could do it. And yeah.
Let's talk the first lyrics or the first verse.
Hey, got a little bread and it turned me to an asshole.
Got a little bread and it turned me to an asshole. Made me realize I'm just running from my past. Whoa. So that actually, like, that was a real thing. In 2021 through about like April or Mayish of 2022, when I finally got humbled about it, I was doing things I wasn't necessarily proud of, like work wise, but like the way I explain it is my work didn't want to give me a raise, or like my job didn't want to give me a raise. And by that time I had 6 years of sales experience under my belt, and 3 at the business that I was working at. And so like they didn't want to give me a raise, so I gave myself one.
Okay.
Started making a lot more bread than I was used to, and that shit, I definitely let that shit turn me to an asshole. I was not, I was really generous with it, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I was an asshole. And, like once I got humbled about it, because like I ended up switching jobs, I wasn't making that same money anymore, and so like it like spending habit wise dropped all the way down. I didn't feel like myself no more. I felt like, all right, so this is what it feels like to like be a normal 9 to 5, you know what I'm saying, employee. Like this bread ain't shit.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Made me realize I'm just running from my past. Whoa, it was on a bad night. I was in a bad.
And it was definitely like the whole running from my past day. It was definitely that. Like growing up, I didn't have the shit that I wanted, you know, things like that. I got like my mom definitely did her best. My mom, like growing up, she always hooked us up, things like that. It might not have been the best stuff. It might not have always been the most name brand shit, but we were taken care of. Even through like hardships, you know, moving around, couch surfing from time to time, things like that. As a kid, she still made sure that like we didn't go without. And if we did go without, it wasn't for long. She always had a plan. So like growing up and then starting to make that type of money, I was spending insane amounts of money on things that I didn't need. For example, like after I got humbled about the whole like not being in that job anymore, it was why did I buy this shit? Why didn't I save it?
So when I'm breaking down barrier, egos is bruising. Baddie to my left, you know I'm perusing. You down for the count on the ground looking stupid. I'm shooting for love, but they don't come.
So that, the breaking down barrier egos is bruising, before anybody calls me out on that, I already know that that is very similar to a Baby Keem bar, but Baby Keem is also one of my biggest influences, and it just makes so much sense. Like, I'm breaking down your barriers, now your ego's bruising because I've done that. Cool. You try to do it to me, Uno reverse, I'm doing it to you. Baddie to my left, you know I'm perusing. That's one of my I feel like I throw a bar like that in a lot of my music, but it's only because like I spent so much time having zero confidence. As a matter of fact, like, it's funny because people will see how I am with women now and like how easy it is for me to talk to them, things like that. Dude, I'm 26 now. 10 years ago, I was not doing that. I couldn't even have a conversation with a female face to face. I was too nervous. I had zero confidence. And that honestly didn't change for me until about my 20s. Okay. I was in a relationship from right before my senior year of high school all the way until right before I turned 23. So like I didn't really get too much experience with that. But after that relationship, that's when like the whole like I found myself. Because you got to think, at 22, I was a family dude. I was a family dude. I was in the house all the time. I'm not going out. I'm not partying. I wasn't even focused on music. And so. Like and I was content with it at the time, but after the breakup, that's when you realize like I could do my own thing now. I could be me. So like I started getting back into my roots. I started making beats again. From there, I started rapping. I dropped my first song. I think I went through that breakup in like December 2019. Dropped my first song like June of 2020. Or June, sometime between June to October. I started recording it in about June. Dropped it in I think October of 2020.
And you down for the count on the ground looking stupid. I'm shooting for love, but they don't call me Cupid.
Basically, it's just like you down for the count. Like you're down for the count. Like you, I don't really have a backstory for that one. It's just like it just sounded like a good bar to me. But shooting for love, but they don't call me Cupid. I am a hopeless romantic. I don't care how I portray myself on Facebook, things like that. Don't get me wrong. I'm definitely slightly shysty. But if I fuck with you, never have to worry about that. Just don't do anything to me that you don't want me to do to you, because I promise you, I'm not going to be sneaky about it. You're going to know what I'm doing, and it's going to be in your face about it, because I don't do well with you trying to get one up on me. It's not a competition, don't get me wrong, but you're not going to get one up on me like I'm stupid, especially if I sacrifice my time for you. I'm such a busy person. And because I always got something going on, whether I'm in the gym, whether I'm at home, whether I'm working, whether I'm with my son, whether I'm working on music. If I squeeze you into my time and you choose to take that time and fuck me over,
love is my mental, without it I'm ruthless.
Love is my mental, without it I'm ruthless. Mental health has been a big thing in my life since I was about 12. From about 12 to 22, dealt with depression very hard. But I worked my way through it. I found my own coping mechanisms. Not all of them were healthy, but once I found the healthy coping mechanisms, it was great. I now know the difference between being sad and being depressed. I have waves of depression here and there, but I know how to separate it from being sad. And in my head, I always know the one thing I would remind myself is this will not last. Whatever slump I'm in, the slumps do not last. I can work my way out of it. I've worked my way out of worse shit before. So something minor, that's not going to hold me back anymore.
With no plan, I know I was clueless. Now that I'm up and I know I can do this.
Came up with no plan, I know I was clueless. I had zero plan with this. This was a hobby. I just did it for fun. I remember posting music when I first started, and in every caption it was like, this is a hobby, this is just for fun, blah, 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 this and that, because I was afraid of feedback at first. But like after that, it was like, no, fuck that. Like that, I'm good at what I do. I'm not about to sugarcoat this. I'm tired. Like you can be humble to a certain extent, but you got to take pride in your craft, or no one's going to take it serious.
You dropping location for changing, you're moving like Judas. Wanted this shit and you knew this, ayy.
Because like, for example, I'm not even a religious person, and I like to get that out of the way ahead of time. I do not believe in a higher power. I respect every religion. I've done my own research on numerous religions. I respect it. I will have a conversation with anyone on religion, as long as they do not try to tell me that my views are invalid, because that's not what I'm going to do to yours. And just fuck, I lost my trail of thought. But biblically speaking, in the Bible, Judas gave up the location of Jesus for literal pieces of change. So now that I'm up and I know I can do this, you're dropping locations for change because you're moving like Judas. Why are you moving out of spite? Why are you moving out of spite for something I'm doing when we can be on the same wave?
Hey, looking at me through the evil eye. Stand around while the time flies. We the heroes, y'all the bad guys. Wet them up, no bad ties. Cut them off, no bad ties. That's
wanted this shit and you do this. Hey, looking at me through the evil eye. Evil eye, that's what this is. Everyone has an evil eye. I don't care how supportive most people are. At some extent, or at least up to a certain extent, everybody has an evil eye. And evil eye doesn't even mean that you have to hate on what somebody's doing or things like that. Evil eye could be as much as you dislike them for what they're doing because you cannot do it. And it's not even anything against them. It's you're mad at yourself because you can't do it. I have, me and my brother actually have a song called Switch Up that is dropping Tuesday, February 28th. I'm currently working on an EP titled Extroverted Introvert. That's the EP. The album is also going to have the same name. It's just going to be a deluxe version. I'll put this, the EP is going to be a 6-song EP. Basically describing myself and, like a few random songs here and there. The album I'll be adding about 6 more to, so it'll be like a 12-song album total.
Oh, sweet.
And yeah, that's going to be the first album that I put out. The EP is also the first EP that I put out. I've only put out singles so far. But that's because I'm one of those artists where I get too excited about something. I'm not going to be able to just sit on it.
Yeah.
I just want to drop it right away. Like Switch Up, shout out to Piff, because he just engineered that last week, and I just submitted it for release yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Also, shout out to Janelle. Shout out Janelle Davis. She did my first interview. That one was hilarious. If you guys haven't seen that, go ahead and go back and watch that. Shout out Piff. Shout out Hefe. That's my little brother. Our song dropping on the 28th. That'll be one of his more recent ones. He did the last verse on my first song Too Quick, but this is like he's cold. He's cold. We've been on his ass about dropping music for the longest time, and he's finally about to start doing it. Shout out BKMG Migo. Shout out First Class Cast. Those are my homies. They're definitely out here doing their shit. And then shout out Zig. Shout out everyone in the Purple Heart Club. If I'm forgetting anybody, I'm so sorry. Oh, shout out Gabe. Shout out Gabe Lampley. That is my homie. That's been my homie since day one. I don't care how far up I go. He's coming with me just as well as anybody else that I just named. Love. Yeah. Shout out to Angel at A to Z.